Hello again, Darren here, back to sing the praises of another of my favourite EPs from the world of indie, alternative and post-punk music. This time a curious choice maybe, the oddball release in the discography of arguably the first ever indie pop band from 1984. This is Texas Fever by Orange Juice. So, are OJ the OGs of the indie scene? Well, the Buzzcocks may have bagged the first truly independent DIY record released with 1977's Spiral Scratch EP, but that was undeniably punk. For indie, the scrappier, less self-consciously difficult branch of the post-punk tree, there are several contenders. Take your pick. The Go-Betweens, the Television Personalities, Swell Maps, and yes, Orange Juice. Who was first? Well, who cares? There are two reasons right now, early November 2025, to revisit the work of Orange Juice and their main songwriter and frontperson, Edwyn Collins. One, Edwyn has in the last few weeks just completed his last ever UK tour. I couldn't make it along, but as the reviews and audience videos can attest, a special send-off with guests, original members, the Pistols' Paul Cook, Vic Goddard, others, all turning out to pay tribute on stage to Edwyn. 5 studio albums since Edwyn's multiple strokes in 2005. A miraculous recovery and ample evidence that his desire, his need to make new music remains undimmed. The touring and promoting aspect, however, is clearly quite demanding, so well done, Edwyn, for choosing to sign off on that side of things on your own terms. Respect. 2. Keir Starmer, bear with me here. In a recent BBC interview, our glorious leader reaffirmed that he is, ever since his uni days, a big fan of Orange Juice. I'd say this might humanise him somewhat, but given his endless robotic pronouncements on flags, the prison system, economic growth, everything basically, that's more heavy lifting than a love of ramshackle indie pop innovators can manage. Still, a shout out is a shout out. I'd quip that he's looking more and more of a blue boy by the day, but you know, when it comes to cheap puns, I can't help myself. I'm here all week. Anyway, onwards, and Texas Fever, an odd EP for this series because it wasn't actually supposed to be one. This is all that remains of the aborted sessions for the follow-up album to 1982's Rip It Up, which proved to be the band's new pop moment in the sun. Yeah, I'm back on the new pop. A comparison of the singles charts of 1984 and 1985 should be all the evidence you need that 85 was the year that the new pop movement began to go the way of the tit. The debut of stock Aiken and Waterman, commercial flops for ABC, Dexys, the Eurythmics ditching their synths, even Madness went all serious. And so as new pop went, so did Orange Juice, splitting in January of that year. By this point, just Edwyn and drummer Zeke Manyika, backed up by some session players. This, for me, is why Texas Fever matters. The last release from the band as an identifiable unit. The de facto final album, The Orange Juice, released in November of '84, was an all-Collins concoction, more of a solo debut than a swan song for the group itself. The EP marks the last appearances on record of Malcolm Ross, ex of Joseph K, on guitar and vocals, and David McClymont on bass, and the EP is clearly a reaction to Rip It Up. The whole chart success thing was priced in for any band moving at that time from an indie to a major, but the experience of recording that album had been difficult, and the reviews, many from long-time supporters of the group, extremely mixed. This all adds up to make Texas Fever an illuminating snapshot of a band at a junction, trying to figure out their strengths, their direction, looking to reassert themselves, and in the process, hitting the self-destruct button. So it goes. Ross and McClymont were very happy with how the recording session was going. Collins, not so much. He wanted to scrap it and write new material. They disagreed, and that was that. End of band. The gussied up pop sleekness of the album that followed would appear to confirm all of this, with the completed Texas Fever material being a scrappier affair thematically, mixing up styles and influences with abandon, a sound far closer to their postcard period than the Rip It Up album had attempted. So, 6 songs, 20 minutes, a mini-album/EP, and a refreshingly consistent introduction to major label OJ when compared to the up-and-down nature of the studio albums either side of it. Collins has the lion's share of the writing credits here, Malcolm Ross contributing just the one. But before we commence with the track-by-track breakdown, a brief detour to talk about musical inspiration. Edwyn is one of those rare musicians who, when he tells you what his influences are, you don't end up going, yeah, right. Now, no awkward squinting required when Edwyn professes a love for classic soul and R&B, Al Green, the Isley Brothers, Booker T and the MGs. You will hear soul. Similarly, Chic, Buffalo Springfield, the Velvets, the Byrds, Creedence even. His influences are always right there at the surface, equally weighted, never offered up as nerd bait or for critical brownie points. He's a true fan, a connoisseur of pop music, taking audible joy in incorporating a little of everything he loves into his own music. Refreshingly honest, unguarded. Track 1, Bridge, is this personified. Clipped Nile Rodgers funk, sympathy for the devil, woohoos, sloppy little garage rock, solos dropped in willy-nilly with a smidge of psychedelic Hammond to close. This musical dressing up box approach can often grate, but not here. Edwyn's reliably warbly baritone ties everything together with a string of cheeky raised eyebrow puns that always land on the less punchable side of clever. In this song, he twists the burning bridges metaphor to incorporate a cease and desist from Isambard Kingdom Brunel, the renowned Victorian engineer, who, he claims, is threatening to sue. Craziest Feeling lashes wormy little tinfoil guitar riffs to a Motown beat, piling on the American pop cultural imagery. A pretty girl in blue jeans, cruising in a Chevrolet, truck stop cafes. It's utterly shameless. And just as it reaches a kind of 50s themed trash pop crescendo, everything goes Looney Tunes with guest Jim Thirlwell, that's Fetus himself, supplying a comically treated vocal skit, pushing the song to a frothy, gonzoid conclusion. A special mention here for the production work of reggae legend Dennis Bovell, engineer of lovers rock classics like Janet Kay's Silly Games, post-punk gems from The Slits, the pop group, and an early figure in the On You sound universe. Dennis proved to be an inspired choice, a true studio pioneer fusing the pop with the avant-garde, and an uncanny ability to create space and separation in the most crowded of mixes. Tracks like Craziest Feeling might have collapsed under the weight of all the elements they were trying to incorporate, were it not for Dennis's know-how. And side 1, the fidgety, up-tempo side, ends with Punch Drunk, that soul Malcolm Ross number, and unsurprisingly, it's regularly dubbed the best Joseph K track that Orange Juice ever wrote. A compact, bustling, funky groove, not a million miles from Talking Heads Found a Job to these ears. Its rabid repetition and hooky little guitar trickles are pure post-punk dance crossover circa 84. Yeah, lest we forget everyone from Gang of Four to Minutemen up top, from Quando Quango to the Higsons down below, were putting various funk elements into their music around about this time. The same trick repeated 20 or so years later by Franz Ferdinand and the dance punk revival crowd. Moving on, side 2 of Texas Fever is where, like a seasoned wedding DJ, Edwyn begins to slow things down. The day I went to Texas limbers listeners up for this, shaking out any residual happy feet through a series of unexpected tempo changes over the course of a 2.5-minute Northern Soul stomper. I guess I'm a lucky son of a gun, sings Collins, the lyric musing on his journey from Scotland down to London via yet more Western-themed iconography. Next, Place in My Heart finds Edwyn in lovelorn balladeer mode, mixing subtle country and Memphis soul flavours into a warming stew, throwing a typically wonky guitar solo on top for good measure. It feels like a stylistic throwback to the ragged romanticism of some of those earlier postcard numbers. Think the first takes of Louise Louise, or In a Nutshell maybe. It's a lovely change of pace. Softening us up for the closing track, A Sad Lament, rescued from the B-side of the Rip It Up single and recast as the epic finale it was always meant to be. Cast your minds back a few minutes. Edwyn's unfiltered songwriting style, the influences worn proudly, while this is that writ large. Orange Juice channeling the Velvet Underground's Pale Blue Eyes, and Lou's Walk on the Wild Side in the space of one song. The soft, pulsing thrum of the verses giving way to shameless do-do-do vocals in the chorus. A quite beautiful song that seems to presage Orange Juice's ultimate demise, with more than a touch of Morrissey's punctured wit in the lyrics. I'll let you decide who influenced who. You came exactly on the hour. You know such precision worries me, sings Edwyn, nervously, pivoting later into a kind of doomed acceptance, the realization that things never work out the way you dreamed they would. The shattered fragments of a star shining with a cruel contempt. The backing becomes animated, it catches fire, sharp little eruptions of Buffalo Springfield Syd Barrett guitar licks before fading into a warm, resigned glow. And that is Texas Fever. Critical dogma regarding Orange Juice and Edwyn Collins tends to go postcard, rip it up, a girl like you, neglecting all of that stuff in the middle as being either mixed or dated or of niche interest only. I'd counter that a cursory glance of any Orange Juice compilation will reveal more selections from Texas Fever than you might expect. It may be an accidental EP, but it's a happy accident. Yeah, by 83, 84, the big gold dream of first wave Scottish post-punk was beginning to turn sour. Joseph K were already gone, Orange Juice on the brink, and Alan Horn's postcard venture at the Swamplands label was a disaster. Paul Quinn, Memphis, Wynn, they all struggled to crack the charts, and Swamplands was wound up in 1985. Shortly after, the C86 bands lionised postcard-era Orange Juice, but seemed to draw the line at the band's new pop releases. In a lot of ways, just another generation looking to rip it up and start again. Edwyn's love of, repurposing of musical styles from all over was never quite as reductive. Punk's Year Zero reset became, ironically, a thing of the past, and Texas Fever illustrates this perfectly. And there you are, that Orange Juice video I'd been promising myself for ages. How do you feel about the band, and what do you think of Texas Fever? Please let me know in the comments down below. As ever, well done you for getting this far into the video. Why not back that up with a like for me? And yeah, why not subscribe if you haven't done so already? And I will leave it right there. Please do take care, and I hope to see you back on the channel very soon. Bye for now.